this could be a huge unlock for travel because it could connect the dots. It could make planning something way, way easier. And instead of taking weeks or months, it takes minutes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Design Her Travel podcast. I'm your host, Kim Anderson. As an avid traveler, global nomad, and someone who considers themselves a citizen of the world, I want to say welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My hope in creating this podcast is to inspire you to take the leap of faith and to design the life of your dreams. For me, that includes connecting with like-minded individuals and creating a community of souls living their best lives out, in, and around the world. Each week, you'll hear stories and conversations from fellow travelers who have figured out how to incorporate travel as a key component in their daily lives. Their stories are beautiful and inspiring, just like you. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. So let's do this. Here we go. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to today's episode of the Design Her Travel podcast. I'm your host, Kim Anderson. Today's conversation is super exciting. Our topic today is one of those polarizing topics. It's something that people tend to be all for, totally gung-ho, 100% in, or they seem to be totally terrified or at least a little bit scared and unsure of what's going to happen moving forward. And to be honest, I feel that there is some uncertainty regardless of which camp you're on when it comes to talking about AI. Today's conversation is with Ross Borden. Ross is the founder of Matador Network. He started it back in 2006 with $11,000 in his pocket. Matador has since grown into one of the largest independent travel media companies in the world, and Ross really has his finger on the pulse of the travel industry. But today we are diving into a new company that Ross has created as a sort of branch off of Matador. And what we are talking about today is GuideGeek. And GuideGeek is a travel AI. It's one of the most used travel AIs that there is right now. And because Ross is dialed into the world of artificial intelligence, how it's transforming industries, the future of AI, what it might look like for us as consumers, travelers, and for us as content creators. This is the conversation that I have been waiting to hear. We dive into the ethics of AI, the environmental impact of AI, how to use it, the revolution that is occurring with the use of artificial intelligence on a day-to-day basis. This conversation absolutely blew my mind. And to be honest, some of the questions satisfied my curiosity, and some of the questions brought more to the forefront. I feel like I have a better understanding of what's happening in the AI space, especially in regards to us as creators. So I think you are going to love this episode as much as I did. I also polled the audience on social media and asked some of you, what are your burning questions with regards to AI? And so in this conversation, I asked Ross the questions that you posed. They were absolutely brilliant, and I think a lot of them were top of mind for all of us. So without further ado, let's dive into the world of AI with Ross Borden. Thank you, Ross, for joining me today. I've been looking forward to this conversation. So thank you for joining me. Welcome to Design Her Travel.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and where in the world are you coming to us from today?
I'm in my home office in San Rafael, Marin County, where I live with my wife and my two kids, just on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Nice. So you are smack dab in the whole tech center. So pretty appropriate for this time. Yeah.
Yep. I spent a lot of time in SF, but yeah, definitely the Bay Area right now seems like it's continuing to buzz. Whether, like a year or so ago, everyone was, is this just a big hype cycle? And it seems like it's not. It seems like it's really here to stay, and it's kind of like taking over everything around here. So.
I can only imagine being in the heart of it. And so, today we're going to dive deep into GuideGeek and your travel AI, but let's start at the beginning of the Matador Network. So, what prompted you to create your own company, and what made you start out to focus on creators in general as a network?
Yeah, so we'd have to go way, way, way back. We've been around for almost 2 decades. I started Matador with $11,000 way back in 2006. I was basically hated my job, loved to travel, and we started as a travel blog. And then we were the world's largest travel blog, and now we're a global publisher with not too big a team, but a really talented team. We're about 65 people, and we work with a lot of the world's biggest brands. We've got 16 million social followers. We have a podcast group, as you know, and now GuideGeek is our new baby. That's kind of a separate company that we've started right when AI really hit the scene with the launch of ChatGPT. So it's been definitely been a long road. I mean, I think I originally started because there was nowhere to share stories, and I was a travel storyteller, not in a really formal sense. I never have written a book or anything like that, but I was living these incredible adventures, traveling, as a total dirtbag, sleeping in tents and camping, not even like one level below hostels, I would say, when we were in our young 20s, trying to make the travel last for as long as possible, climbing mountains with my best friends in South America. And we would come off these volcanoes, which of course we did unguided to save money. And because of that, had gotten into some pretty crazy adventures and hair-raising experiences. And this was like pre-blogs, pre-Facebook, pre-everything, really. And so we were writing mass emails home to friends and been like, just got off, the volcano in Arequipa, Peru, and all this crazy shit happened to us. So that was really the impetus for Matador in the very beginning, was like, what's the outlet for us to tell these stories, to share these photos? Video online was not really a thing like it is now. Creator, it was not even a thing. I think, as time has gone on, we built a pretty exciting business around publishing writers. Then we were early to social, early to mobile video. We're now doing about 250 million video views a month across our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook channels. And then we work the network, in Matador Network is our network of about 70,000 creators who are on our platform. We help them get opportunities for free travel. We get them into brand deals because we work with a bunch of amazing brands and destinations. And so creators are really like the lifeblood of Matador now. And, always have been in writer form. And now it's writers, video creators, filmmakers, drone pilots, like you name it. So it's been a pretty exciting evolution.
Oh, I love it. And I love that you were on the forefront of all of those sort of advancements. I remember long emails when there were no travel blogs. It's so easy now to just like plug something in and spit out an immediate answer. And it's like back in the day, it was like just getting the story out was challenging. So kudos to you for the evolution of it. It's great.
I mean, you could say that things were a little more adventurous. It was harder to find travel information. I mean, this is back in the day of like Lonely Planet books and stuff like that. And even social media has made everything so searchable, so easily identifiable, so easy to find. And now we have AI. So it's been quite a big difference in terms of trip planning and travel planning.
Yeah, and I'm excited to get into sort of the evolution of where you see the AI coming along in the future, how it'll change things. But let's start with why GuideGeek, and how far ahead of the game were you in seeing the need? And what was the problem that you were trying to solve with GuideGeek?
Yeah, I mean, I think even recently, travel's a pain in the ass to plan. It's too hard to plan. I have two young kids. If you have family, I'd say it's even harder. And everyone's been there, right? You've got like 30 browser tabs open. You're trying to piece together an itinerary, trying to find the best deal. You're trying to make sure you're in the right neighborhood, trying to look for an Airbnb or a hotel that matches your budget. And you got to figure out reservations. Do you need them? Do you not? Like, there's all these things. And in a way, I think it's a symptom of just like how fragmented the travel industry is. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and there's pockets of value for single single day tours, multi-day tours, flights, hotels, vacation rentals, travel insurance, all these things, but there's nothing to connect all the dots. And so I got kind of early access to the language model that ChatGPT started with, GPT-3. And when I did, I just instantly, I think like most people when they started chatting with ChatGPT, like had kind of like a holy shit moment. But for me, it was a holy shit moment of like, whoa, this could be a huge unlock for travel because it could connect the dots. It could make planning something way, way easier. And instead of taking weeks or months, it takes minutes. And it's the personalization potential. So for an AI to really get to know how you roll, how you travel, how old your kids are, where you like to go. Maybe you're a big skier, maybe you love museums, like what all these things, it can really start to learn all of that. And then when you say, hey, where should we take the kids for Christmas break? It can just start giving you options and opportunities and itineraries that are probably a pretty good fit to who you are and how you travel. So instantly I saw that and I was like, we got to launch something right now. And I think we were kind of like the first ones out of the gate in the travel AI space. And now we've got 1 million users. We partnered with Meta to deliver the AI through WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger. And now we're building out a really deep and visual platform on our website where, you know, it's got photos and videos and maps. And then we've actually turned it into a business. So we've got 50 enterprise clients who are mostly destination tourism boards, but also we're going into beta with our first airline, our first hotel group. So that's like kind of the next chapter of GuideGeek. We have the consumer side, and then now we have a software as a service side that we're launching as well.
So for the businesses, you're creating their own GPTs, like company specific or product specific?
Yeah, essentially. Like we think if you're a tourism board, an airline, a hotel, we even have like some clothing brands as clients who are outdoor adventure focused brands. If you are any of those things and you have an Instagram account, which I would say 100% do, we think that you'll want to have an AI that's completely custom to your brand, your data, your partnerships, your destination in the next 6 to 12 months. So we've got about 50, and this is like, entire countries like Tourism New Zealand are running GuideGeek. Cities like New York City and Destination Toronto are running GuideGeek. And I think we have 7 US states, and then even like small towns. And so it's been pretty exciting. But yeah, we basically index their website so that it prioritizes their data, content, and information, but it still has the total power of GPT-4. So if you ask a question that their content doesn't answer, it's going to grab a great answer from GPT-4. But it's a brand safe way to have a kind of interaction that for the DMOs, they've never really had with their users and website visitors. And then you can also activate it and connect it through their Meta platform. So their Instagram, we give them a WhatsApp number, we connect it to their Facebook Messenger and so on.
So does that mean that using New Zealand specifically, if someone's using GuideGeek and they search New Zealand information, then GuideGeek will pull from the New Zealand's GPT first? That'll be the prominent info?
Yeah, because at first, over the last year, when we were launching this business, that was not the way it worked. It would still just go to GPT-4. Maybe it would prioritize Matador's content because we have tons of content about New Zealand. But now we're activating these relationships where our AI gets better because of the local knowledge of all the DMOs all the tourism boards that we're working with. And we are actually going to start sending them directly traffic because they're a GuideGeek client. We want them to succeed. Their overall website traffic is getting eroded by AI as less people search Google and just get the answer from GPT-4 or whatever model, Gemini or Claude. And so, yeah, we're actually going to start linking to all of our clients on the consumer GuideGeek that has 1 million users. And then each of them will have their individual installs of GuideGeek on their site and their channel. So it's kind of a double-edged value for them.
Gotcha. Wow. So it's like a pay to play sort of promotional aspect, but it just happens to be it's super helpful from the consumer point too.
Yeah, and I think it is super helpful. And what we saw immediately is if you give someone an answer as soon as they ask a question, they move very quickly down the travel funnel. And pretty soon they've like whittled down an itinerary that's totally authentic to them and how they travel. And they're like, I'm ready to book. And so it forces or pulls people through to transactions a lot faster. So we think websites are not going to completely go away, but I think any website, and you're talking to an owner of a large website, so I'm in this group too, any website that's not super AI first and it starts as a conversation is going to look really, really old school in short order. So we're redesigning our website to be basically powered by GuideGeek, and that's where we're headed with a lot of our clients. So that instead of like diving through menu options of, oh, family travel or adventure travel or this part of the state or that part of the country, you just talk to it or type to it and it gives you exactly what you want, the information. If it gives you links to the website if you want to dive deeper, it's just a much better way to digest and explore a website rather than hunting through, different menus and stuff like that.
I have to say, I played around because I hadn't used GuideGeek before, but before this interview, I played around with it and I've got a couple of trips coming up and the quickness of the response. And it did like the personalization. I was planning a trip to Chicago with my son and it was like, well, how old is your son? What kind of things are they interested in? It was really fast. And I love that it's accessible through WhatsApp. I was like, yes, that makes it so easy to use. So I like what you're building. I think it's great.
Thank you.
One of the questions when I polled social media was, what is a tip for optimizing their website or socials for LLM discoverability? What are your words of wisdom around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something on the minds of a lot of folks right now. It's kind of like when SEO became a thing and people were trying to like game all the search crawlers and the spiders, I think they used to call them, that would crawl the website. Or you would buy links from like shady people. We never did that at Matador. I just always thought it was like a shady business and like to stay away. And we just focused on making great content. I think that's true of websites as well. But yeah, generative search optimization is kind of the next thing. And I think as long as you have all of your content is clearly labeled and, in those, some people call them data lakes or in those different categories, everything's like really easy for the crawlers to find. They're not all that different, the AI, when the models are out crawling content. So we're actually seeing a huge influx of search traffic or inbound traffic referrals from the big 4 or 5 models. Although I think most people just get the answer and they don't even click through to the source. They're just like, this is right. It's, ChatGPT says it's right. So they're not going to click through. But I was just researching, like, we're doing this big project for FIFA 2026 with like where to stay, the best hotels, where to eat, stay, and play for all the host cities. And I was doing it on ChatGPT. And I was seeing all the Matador links and referrals. So I don't think there's too much secret sauce other than having all of your content discoverable in some way. Some of our clients, they have like a visitor's guide that's a PDF or something like that. We've made it easy for them to even like upload that. So that's part of the intelligence that's consumed by the AI. But I think most people have very well organized blogs that are all tagged and neat. So I don't think you really need to stress about that as much. But I would say to manage expectations, we've seen some traffic, but in compared to how much Matador content and answers from Matador are showing up in just the answers on ChatGPT, for example, and then people not clicking through to the website, I think all of us can probably expect website traffic to go down over the coming months while everyone just sort of saturates with AI models.
And so that leads to another question that I know is top of mind for a lot of creators who have put their heart and soul into their blogs and to their travel content. But now that people aren't clicking through, they're not generating the revenue that they were generating. They're not really getting credit for some of that. So is there an answer to that? Like, is there a way, or do you just see that this is an evolution? And how does the creator adapt to still be valuable with all of the AI models?
Yeah, good question. And something big topic of conversation with a lot of the creators that kind of power Matador. I would say a couple of things. One is that we also tested, like when it first came out, let's make article content with AI. I would not recommend that. I think, that's bad for a number of reasons. Maybe it could help you make content faster, but I would not go all in on making a bunch of AI content. I think it's going to be very soon that even the models and certainly the search engines are going to blacklist sort of content farms where all the content's being created by AI. I would also focus and double down since it's hard for the end user to tell what's AI. And this is going to get harder and harder, especially with written content. I would double down on like personal experiences. These are the 5 places I went to, or something like put yourself in the headline of the content so they know it's not just a top 10 list generated by AI. And then the last thing I'd say is like, as much as it's becoming a harder time to be maybe a blogger, it's probably becoming an even more exciting time to be a creator. And that's the next big question mark is like, what about AI? One of our clients, they launched like an AI travel influencer. And I saw Gary Vee the other day talking about not just travel influencers, but there are going to be hundreds of thousands of AI influencers. And as gross as that seems to me and unappealing of like encountering or following or absorbing the content from people that aren't even real, I wouldn't doubt if it happens. So I think for now, it's a really exciting time to become a creator. I launched, as you may know, the Creator Podcast because I think it's just like ultimately going to take over all advertising will go to creators, all global media spend. And as big as the creator economy is now, it could get way, way bigger. And so we're really doubling down on creators, bigger talent. And I think there's a ton of ways that creators are making money. So if you rely on traffic to your blog for revenue, I think it's going to be a tougher and tougher game. Again, you're talking to a guy who used to rely on that same thing when I started Matador, but potentially being a creator and a travel creator more specifically will become more and more exciting over the next couple of years. And then we'll have to see what happens with these AI creators, these fake people. But in an industry where we've been talking about authenticity has been the word of the year for 20 years straight, I have a hard time believing that brands are going to be like, let's just create fake stories about fake people going fake places. Like, I don't think that's going to land well.
So when you say be a creator, some people look at their website as their creation, but you're saying branch out, like do other things. Am I hearing that right?
Totally. I mean, I look at it the same way. Writers are creators for sure. And, we have Matador Creators is a whole section of our site where you can open a free profile and get connected to brands and find paid work and do written content for our website, city guides, or get pulled into brand projects or press trips or whatever it is, fam trips for video creators and social media creators. So I definitely agree that is also a creator. I just think the traffic game, driving traffic to your site, selling ads on your site or getting clicks to affiliate programs is probably going to get dramatically more difficult to make that model work. Whereas if you can build not necessarily a big following, but a high quality following and just make interesting content. Maybe it's not even about the following, but you identify a brand that you'd love to work with. You reach out to them on Instagram or LinkedIn, you pitch them on a great deal and you say, look, you're wasting money working with these big production houses or these inefficient agencies. I can be your one man, one woman, creator studio. It's been really actually refreshing and inspiring talking to so many creators about all the different ways they make money. Some of them are running trips. Some of them are writing books. Some of them are still doing blog content or being video creators and endorsing brands. But I think most people think brand deals. That's like the only way creators make money. But it's really been amazing. Some of them have like 5 or 6 revenue streams, and then you put it all together and they're crushing it.
It's pretty amazing. You can kind of carve your own path. It feels a little like the wild, wild west. You can make of it what you want. You just have to figure out what it is that you enjoy creating. I think that's the thing. You can't be stuck on one thing at the moment. And so let's talk about using GuideGeek to help you travel better. We already talked about how much easier it makes the travel planning, but how do you train it to give you the information that you want? Because we've all done that, AI search, and you're like, this is not what I was looking for. So how should people help it get to the information and also know that they're not getting the same information that everybody else is getting?
Yeah, I would say be specific. And this is a general thing for prompting AIs in general. But if you're prompting GuideGeek or you're planning travel on one of the big models, I would say be as specific as possible. And some people in the opposite direction have a lot of success where they don't even know where they want to ask about, but they do know what they want. And so I'll give you an example. Like a lot of people use GuideGeek where they go, give me options within a 5-hour flight that are great for families, that are a beach destination that might be off the beaten path and without other tourists. And it will throw out names of places. You're like, whoa, I never thought about that place. I think if that person is still specific about what they're looking for, even though they didn't know the actual places to ask about. And then once you do narrow down on a couple places or one destination, I'd say get even more specific. Tell it exactly what you want. exactly what you don't want. And again, that will very quickly move you down to a place where you're kind of like, this is my trip right here. This is perfect. And so, yeah, that's been my experience watching all of our users because we have a whole dashboard and it's way too many users now to even keep up with and read the conversations. But when you get to pop in and see how the users are using it, and you're like, wow, this person's asked 817 questions. And you see that like she's really good at using GuideGeek because she's very specific and then asks really good questions that yield really great answers. And if you want to go away from the places that most people go, just tell it that, be like, I really want to get off the beaten path. I've been to all the places that everyone goes in Mexico. Give me 5 ideas of like really way out, rustic, like whatever you want. And it will probably surprise you with like a bunch of really great options.
Oh, I love that. It's like, what do you really want to do? I just want to lounge on the beach and not be around anyone else.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm like obviously a power user of GuideGeek. And one of the reasons is that there are the friends or family that you have that like they want every little step of the way, every minute of the day choreographed. They want to know where we're having lunch, then where we're going on a walk, then where we're having dinner. I'm literally the opposite. I buy a plane ticket, figure out the hotel, and then the whole rest of the trip is totally winging it. And because it's on WhatsApp, and it sounds like you're the same, I love WhatsApp. And so it allows me to just totally get lost. Be like, let's just walk this way and figure shit out as we go. And then you could say a landmark and then say, okay, actually, my kids are pretty starving now. Like, I need a great place that's near, this museum or whatever. But it allows you to be really on your toes and spontaneous in how you travel. And that's how I love to travel. And, sometimes maybe it recommends a place and it's not perfect, but you meet people there and they take you somewhere else. So I've had so many great adventures and met so many incredible people just like stumbling my way through a city using GuideGeek and finding stuff that, frankly, I never would have found without it.
It's kind of like you could almost equate it to back in the day when it was a Lonely Planet book and you happened to find this one random restaurant and you checked it out, but your whole day ended up centered around that because you did this one random thing. I like that, the way of using it. So we've got time for a couple more questions. One I would like to ask is we've talked about all the ways that it's great, like all the ways that AI is good, but where does it fall short currently?
Yeah, I mean, when we started, we measured, actually paid 4 people, and they're still our amazing team, our GuideGeek team, which is now like 14 people. But when we started, some of our first hires for GuideGeek did basically quality control, and they were spread out from PST in California, EST New York, someone in Europe, and someone in Asia, and very strong multilingual people. And they were reading all the conversations as fast as they could and logging like errors when it Gateway recommended a place that was out of business or recommended information. The user was like, that's not right. And it's gotten so much better since that. And of course, we've identified the places that hallucinations, they're called in some cases. Sometimes there's like, it will have the hours wrong or it will recommend a place that closed, 4 months ago, but maybe it was open when the model was trained. But then there's hallucinations, which is a hilarious thing that AI just straight up makes up shit that's not true. And it wants to give you an answer when it doesn't have one. So we understood like the conditions under which that was happening and how to mitigate that. So GuideGeek, it falls short a lot less than it used to. I'll tell you that because we were at 14% errors and now we're between 1.5% and 1% in terms of the answers and off the information it gives. And that's also has to do with like, we double ping like Google Places. We have all these APIs in the background going on to check hours of operation and stuff like that. I guess where it falls short is it's still imperfect. It will still make mistakes. Maybe a hallucination. I haven't seen one in a while, but maybe a hallucination every now and then. I think when AI just doesn't want to tell you that it just doesn't have an answer. So if you do like a Mission Impossible and you're like, I want this tiny town that doesn't even have fly fishing, and I'm asking about a fly fishing outfitter, like maybe in that case, it'll either say, there's really no fly fishing outfitters, or that's when it will hallucinate and just make one up. But I wouldn't go across the world without double checking. I think it is always good to double check the information it gives. When you're stumbling around, the streets of Barcelona and you go to a bar and it's closed, like no big deal. You probably find another bar. I wouldn't completely trust AI to plan an entire trip and book flights or a hotel or whatever, basically all on that without double checking. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. It can't connect you to people, like, which is back in the day. I don't even remember. This is even older than Matador, but there's a site called couchsurfing.com. And this is like pre Airbnb, it was like pre Matador. And that was really cool for like, you could just instantly plug into a group of people a city. And that was a totally different way of exploring a city, but it was really at its peak, it was magical. Then they raised a bunch of VC money and it got totally ruined. And like they kicked out the founder and the company imploded. I guess that's one thing it can't do. But if you could say, hey, I'm single, ready to mingle, or I'm on a business trip and I want to sit alone at a great bar that also has great food and talk to locals, like it's even good for, finding people like that. But I've never seen again the magic of couch surfing where you could just plug in and you like had friends overnight in the whole city.
Who knows? Maybe that will resurge in one way or another coming up.
It should. It was absolutely magical when it was at its peak.
As a female, couch surfing was one thing I never did. Felt a little sus.
Yeah. And I think GuideGeek and using AI to travel as a solo female traveler is definitely like a really great application of it. So we've got a lot of solo female travelers that we see on the platform, and it seems to get a lot of usage and provide a lot of value to them. So happy about that.
So I have two questions. The environmental impact of AI is huge. And so is there any way that you see that being balanced in some way? Because it uses a lot of energy and a lot of resources. So do you have ideas on how we can give back when we're using it at the rate that we are?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is I like to remind people, because I've heard this concern before, text-based AI or something that's retrieving links to something that's just sitting on a server is pretty low impact in terms of how much energy and water is another thing that a lot of people cite is like the water usage, because the data centers need to be kept cool. So it's cycling through like millions of gallons of water. But I think that if you want to stay away from non-sustainable AI, I would stay away from like video and image generation, especially video generation, or the new models that are more, where it takes like 10, 15 minutes to get an answer. Those are really intensive in terms of energy. But I think that this is kind of like trying to fight a tide, standing and trying to hold a tide back. Like you're not going to have an impact. And this thing is cat's out of the bag, the genie's out of the bottle. And ultimately, we as like the United States and every country needs to just figure out how to produce a lot more energy than we are. I saw a chart recently of like China's energy production versus the US's energy production. And it's really crazy. Like they're every 18 months, they're growing more than our total energy. They're like, it's not even close. So that's something we'll have to figure out. But if you want to be truly low impact, I guess you could just not use AI, even though all the things that you're using every day are already using AI without you knowing it. But I would just I think the image generation and especially video generation, those are the things that are most water intensive, the most energy intensive. And if you care deeply to sort of boycott or stay away from those to have less of an impact, that would be my advice.
And so last question, where do you see this AI train in the travel industry headed in the next, 5 years? Like, what do you really see the future as? Like, what are you envisioning when you're playing out all the scenarios and ways that AI can work in the future? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, a couple of things I would say. One, voice will be huge. You're seeing now a big race, whether it's Snapchat or Meta or Google, they're all coming out with glasses. That'll be like the next thing that we all, instead of having these things in our pockets, we'll probably wear them, or it'll be a puck or something, as people are calling it, that you wear around your neck. And that will just be, I know, it's kind of dark, honestly. And I think voice, you'll be talking to your AI will be talking to you nonstop all day. And then it will be agentic AI we see as the next big super cycle for the next 2 to 3 years. So that's where the AI is actually able to take actions on your behalf. So right now, if you're on GuideGeek and you say, I want to see business class flights from SFO to JFK next Tuesday, coming back on the 15th of July, it'll get you links and you'll click on the links and you can book it yourself. But soon you'll have agentic AI, which just says, hey, I found you a business class flight on Delta because I know you're Delta Diamond. And this one seems to work for you. You'd have to leave a little early because it's rush hour, but it's $940. Do you want me to book it? And you're going to say yes. And then it's just going to go book the flight. And it'll say, great, I put it on your calendar and your confirmation in your email. And so these things will be completely automatic. It will so voice, agentic AI, and then personalization, which we're already working on both agentic and voice and personalization, where it just gets to know you. So again, in my earlier example, I can say, hey, where should we take the kids for, New Year's or whatever? And it will know that we're fond of these little beach towns in Mexico that we go to. It knows that we're big skiers. I'm not going to have to re-explain anything about myself. It will be an absolute expert at my life, who I am, and especially how I travel. And so it will just get right down to the really good recommendations that I'm like, yeah, those are great. Let's do Utah skiing. Let's figure out the price, find an Airbnb that ski in, ski out, and it will just go off and do those things. So I would say those are the three big trends that will be pretty transformative.
That is just wild. It's so wild to be alive at this point in time. It's like the transformation to where everything just blends. Although I have to say, when you said it will take action, there was a Dean Koontz book. It's the only one I've ever read of his, and it was about AI, and it was AI that basically held a woman as captive, impregnated her. I mean, it was this wild, wild story. It was written in the 90s or something. It's in a wild ride. So when you said that, I was like, oh no.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of darkness and things that I'm pretty afraid about AI in general. I tend to think travel is a pretty harmless enclave of AI that will just make our lives easier and allow us to travel more and spend less time with the minutia and the BS of planning a trip. But with all the things I've learned in the last 2 years building an AI company, I have major concerns, macro concerns about AI and where things are headed and how fast it's moving forward and self-improving models. And it's way beyond it booked the wrong flight on my credit card. That's not a big problem, but there could be, I don't know. I hope someone's doing this responsibly at the top of all these companies, because I think the technology is extremely powerful and it could get scary fast, scary very quickly. So I'm hoping for the best for all of us.
Same. So thank you for all of this information and this inside peek into GuideGeek. I'm excited to use it more because it's super fun if you like to travel and it's just fun to ask it questions, find local spots or whatever. It's fun to interact with. And so thank you for being on the forefront and making this creation.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. And for those trying to check it out for the first time, of course, it's free and it's guidegeek.com. And then you can just decide if you want to connect on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, or the website. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Me too. And so we actually close with a lightning round. So we have 4 quick questions. First one is, what is a travel tip or an inside scoop for your current location?
For my current location?
Yes.
I would say skip Muir Woods. Everyone goes to Muir Woods. You need reservations to go. A lot of the things in the Bay Area, because it's so many tourists come here, are just overrun. Instead, go to Stinson Beach and hike the steep ravine trail. The trees are almost as big. It's absolutely gorgeous. You'll get real Mount Tamalpais hike and no traffic, no reservations, no tickets. So yeah, and use GuideGeek, of course, to find out how you can avoid tourists in tourist heavy spots all over the Bay Area. But that's one I always tell people.
That's a good one. And question number 2 is, what is a book that has inspired you to design this extraordinary life?
You brought up Tim Ferriss earlier. It's kind of a cop-out to say this. I should have a better answer for this, but I did read The 4-Hour Workweek, and it just inspired me to be an entrepreneur in the first place. I can tell you my work week is way more than 4 hours. I still haven't figured that part out. But yeah, I would say anything that inspires you to do your own thing. It's crazy. I'm now almost 45 and I still have friends who are, especially with how hard the job market is, I'm just going to try something on my own that I'm actually passionate about. And they go all in and then it's a success. And they're so happy that they have what I'm lucky to have, which is a job that I love and be able to do everything around travel, because that was always my passion. So I would say probably any other range of books around going all in on what you love.
Fantastic. And question number 3 is, what is something that you always take with you when you travel, you never leave home without? Not like a phone or a laptop, do you have something that you always take with you?
I would say travel speaker. I love having music all the time in any hotel room, at the beach, whatever. So yeah, I can't really live without music, and I don't want to be wearing these freaking earbuds all my life. So that little mini travel speaker is pretty important to me.
Oh, that's a good one. And then what is on the top of your bucket list for adventures or destinations?
Yeah, actually, I got some heaters coming up here. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Kenya and Tanzania with my whole family and going to one of my favorite resorts and safari brands called Singita, where I was lucky enough to meet the founder back in 2010 at World Cup in Cape Town. Like, just randomly met this guy. He's kind of like my idol, this guy, Luke Bales. He's like, he does so much good for the world. He's on the forefront of conservation. He treats his employees extremely well, and he's built just an incredible business. So I'm going to go to two of his lodges that I've never been to in the Grimeti in Tanzania. I'm going to check out another place that I've been wanting to go near Lewa Conservancy in Kenya. And then even more adventurous than that, I got another one that I'm going to Socotra in Yemen, probably, I think it's right before Thanksgiving, so November. And I'm going to take my son. So we're getting really fired up for that. He's 9, and I think it's going to blow his mind and all of our minds. It's like been on my bucket list for literally 20 years. So I got an opportunity to go and had to pull the trigger. So I'm excited for that too.
I can't wait to see those trees.
Yeah, right. The dragon blood trees.
Totally. I travel for trees, man. They're so good. And so you mentioned GuideGeek, but where can people find you or connect with you online?
Yeah, I'm around Ross Borden on Instagram, same on Facebook, same on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find, Ross Borden, and throw Matador in there if you can't find the right Ross Borden, but I'm around.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much and happy travels. Holy moly, I am blown away by that conversation. And here are the key takeaways. Number one, even with the massive rise of AI now and moving forward, creators will become more and more important. Companies will look to you for advertising, for brand sponsorships, for getting the word out. So even though it feels like AI might be taking some of the creator jobs, know that your job is becoming even more important. Number two, as a creator with the rise of AI, it is important to double down on your own personal experiences within your content. That not only helps differentiate you from everyone else, but it also helps you stand out in the face of AI. Number three, the hard truth is, if you currently rely on click-throughs and affiliate links with regards to your website, it might be time to branch out. Even though AI might show your website as the source of the information that they provide, it doesn't mean people are going to click through. Number four, in the very near future, websites that are not AI centered or AI powered are going to feel extremely old school. Number five, if your website is already optimized for SEO, then you shouldn't have any problem being found within some of those large language models. If you're optimized for SEO, you should be optimized for AI as well. And I'm not sure if I'm on number 4 or 5, but I'm going to call it 5 right here. So, number 5, one way to help keep your environmental footprint down when using AI is to use it for text or voice only. Whenever you use AI to create an image or something that takes it like 10 or 15 minutes, that's when it's using a lot of energy and water and has the biggest environmental impact. So if you want to minimize your environmental impact of AI, use it for text and voice only. Number 6, when using AI to help you plan or develop trips, be as specific as possible. The more information you can give it, the more it knows what you like, and the faster it is to develop a trip that is truly your dream trip. The quote that I would like to leave you with today is from Dean Koontz's book, Demon Seed. Ross and I talked about it in the episode, and afterwards I looked up the title because I couldn't remember. And so if you're interested, it's called Demon Seed. But that quote is, technology can bring both immense progress and unimaginable darkness. And if you're anything like me, I feel like that quote perfectly sums up how most of us feel in this current moment around artificial intelligence. It feels like it's moving at such a rapid pace that there's no stopping it. There's no resistance. The cat's out of the bag, so to speak, as Ross said. Just as I shared with Ross, it's fantastic to play around with GuideGeek, find some local restaurants in the area you're in. It really does have that element of convenience that's brilliant. But then when you look at it from the perspective of its hands being in everything, that feels a little terrifying. Most of the times when I get to the quote section of the podcast, it feels like this beautiful, positive bow, so to speak, on the conversation. It wraps it all up nicely in a light that warms my heart. But today's conversation is brilliant in its own form, but it also is terrifying in the same way. It's one of those things where I can see, yes, I love AI in this regard. And how do we keep it from the darkness that feels like is possible in it as well? I don't have any answers. For me, I think the way that I can find peace of mind with moving through a world that is full of artificial intelligence is to keep these conversations going. To speak face to face with people, to say hello to my neighbors, to connect with other travelers, to be in the world in real life. I think that's the revolutionary act, is continuing to honor the humanity in front of us on a daily basis, because that is real. I hope you found some of the answers you were looking for today in this conversation. I know that I did. I loved getting the inside scoop, having a little more of an understanding, and speaking to someone in the throes of AI who can really see timelines and where we're headed with it. It doesn't mean that it gave me peace of mind in knowing that, but knowledge is key. The more we know, the more we're able to find the answers within ourselves into how we would like to move forward. My hope for you is that this conversation did the same. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM at designhertravel. And of course, I would love to see you on the newsletter. I share inside tips, some of the behind the scenes of the podcast, and things that aren't shared just through this audio here. So you can sign up for the newsletter. You'll get an email every Tuesday. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up and listening to this episode. I know that there are so many things in life that you could be doing right now. And so it means a lot to me that you're here. There are so many more episodes coming your way. So if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to review and follow us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you know someone who might like to hear it, please share. Those little acts of kindness mean a lot and help more than you know. I appreciate your time and getting the opportunity to share this moment. I'd love to hear more from you. I'd love to connect, so reach out on social. You can find me on Instagram at Seafaring Wanderer. That's SEAFARINGWANDERER. And then you can join our Facebook group at Design Her Travel Podcast. I would love to connect, hear more from you. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of, places you'd like to hear about, and things you'd like to know how to do when designing your life. So thank you, everyone, and I'll be back soon.